Now, new part of chapter 4, that is the policy of industry and trade of British East India Company. Industry and trade policy of British East India Company. Before the Battle of Plassey in 1757, British East India Company was a merchant organization, commercial organization, and at that time they carried out only export-import trade in India. In 1720, the first important Factory Act was passed. First important Factory Act was passed in 1720, through which British Indian cotton clothes were strictly banned in the markets of England. The Indian cotton textile goods were strictly banned in the markets of England. Besides, a high rate of trade duty or tariff, was imposed on calico cotton goods and Dhakai muslin. On calico cotton good, the trade duty in England was fixed in 67.5%, and on Dhakai muslin, which was very popular in India and England both, on it the rate of trade duty was imposed by British government nearly 37.5%. So 67.5% on calico cotton goods and 37.5% trade duty on Dhakai muslins. As a result, these two popular textile industries in India penetrated into endangered situation. British government intentionally tried to destroy these two rich and prosperous cotton weaving industries. According to British historian William Bolt, company's official physically tortured many renowned weavers to stop their traditional profession. From a statistics, it has been known that the thumbs of 20,000 traditional cotton weavers of Dhaka and other provinces were cut off, so that they are invalid in their traditional profession. Thus, English East India Company tried to destroy Indian textile industry and the cotton weaving professions in Bengal. Now, we are going to discuss deindustrialization, the concept of deindustrialization. Who used the term deindustrialization? The term deindustrialization, you must remember that the concept deindustrialization was used first by a famous economist, Maurice Dobson Morris, Mouris-Dobson. Maurice Dobson Morris used the term deindustrialization first. Now, what is the meaning of deindustrialization? Deindustrialization means a process of gradual declination of rich and prosperous and self-dependent Indian industries. In a word, gradual declination of Indian industries was called deindustrialization in India. Various factors were responsible behind the process of deindustrialization in India, which were abolition of companies' monopoly trade in 1813. After 1813, Indian markets were opened to the all European merchant communities and companies. As a result, an unparalleled competition, commercial competition, started in between European and Indian merchants and manufacturers, in which Indian merchants failed to compete with the European merchants. Next, various factory laws were passed from British Parliament, through which Indian textile industries were declined and Europeans were encouraged to enrich their industries, their trade and commerce in India. Third, a high rate of trade duty was the another cause of the decline of industries in India. Next cause, lack of encouragement from British government, lack of investment of industrial capital in the textile industries and other industries together were responsible for the rapid deindustrialization in India. Rapid deindustrialization in India. Next, we are going to discuss why India was called the jewel in the crown of British Empire. Why was India called the jewel in the crown of British Empire? India was called the jewel in the crown of British Empire by contemporary British Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli. Benjamin Disraeli said England had become the jewel in the crown of British Empire. Okay, why and how? Because with the plundering of Indian property, with the continuation of both private and companies' trade in India, with continuing the tax-free or duty-free trade in India, with the introduction of the policy of deindustrialization in India, with continuing the policy of drainage of wealth, modern prosperous England was built up. Modern prosperous England was built up. Similarly, it has also been mentioned, and again I am mentioning that in the construction of Indian Railway, iron and steel which were used or exported from England was 17% of the total iron and steel of British government. So 17% of the total iron and steel of England was used in the construction of Indian railways, which also benefited English East India Company. A famous economist, George Sullivan, said that every year from various sources, British government earned 200 crore pound from India. From various sources, British government earned this heavy amount of 200 crore pound. Now, the construction of railway line, which already we have mentioned briefly, now we are discussing broadly here. Indian Railway, which was started first in 1853 from Bombay to Thane under the initiative of Lord Dalhousie, that gradually extended all over India. During the construction of railway line, Dalhousie appointed East India Railway Company, Great Indian Peninsular Railway Company, who invested their capital for the construction of railway line in India. To encourage them, Dalhousie introduced guarantee system. What was guarantee system? Guarantee system means 5% benefit, 5% profit instantly should be given to the railway companies on their total invested amount in the construction of railways. In a word, those who invest their capital, they must be given instant 5% benefit, and that was guaranteed, which was called guarantee system. Okay. Through guarantee system, Indian Railway extended or spread rapidly during the time of Lord Dalhousie. That's why Lord Dalhousie was called the father of Indian Railways. Now, I would like to mention the statistics of the spread of Indian Railways. In 1853, total 81 kilometer railways was established. In 1857, it was 439 kilometer. In 1860, it was 1349 kilometer. In 1870, it was 7678 kilometer. In 1790, it was extremely changed, that was 25,495 kilometers. In 1920-21, the total distance of railway line in India was 55,980 kilometers. 56,980 kilometers. And in time of independence of India in 1947, total railway line in India was 65,217 kilometers. So we can easily understand what actually the graphic change of the development of railways in India was. Okay. By the by, you must remember, in the construction of railway line from Howrah to Pandua, East India Company took responsibility, but the company also given some duties and responsibility to the Martin Vernon Company, who also played important role to establish Howrah-Raniganj railway line in 1855. In 1855, Howrah-Raniganj railway line was established. Now, I would like to mention the impacts of the construction of railways. What were the impacts and objectives? First, objectives, mainly for the administrative purposes, military purposes, for the imperial annexation purposes, English East India Company established the railway line in India. This railway line highly benefited British government. It greatly helped to transfer commodities, passengers from one place to another. But some historians say that with the establishment of Indian Railways, village cottage industries were declined. So, on the word of many historians of them, H.D. Buchanan, Buchanan, the village people were extremely affected, and their traditional professions were also lost. Their self-dependent cottage industries were declined as through the railways many high-quality industrial goods of England reached in the remote villages, which were very cheap in price. To admire the railway line, Karl Marx said. Karl Marx gave his expression from positive experience. He said that the railway system will become in India truly the forerunner of modern India. He said that the construction of railway line made India as a modern India. Huh? Bipan Chandra said that the construction of railways had a revolutionary impact on the life, culture, economy of the people of India. Thus, we can express or mention the impacts of railway line in India. About the impacts of railway line, a contemporary railway traveler, Mahananda Chakraborty, wrote an essay, the early scenery of rail journey, the early scenery of railway journey. In this book, he was very happy to see the railway line, to travel the Indian railways. Our next topic is introduction of telegraph system in India. In India, like Indian railways, Indian telegraph system was also introduced by British government first in 1851. Indian telegraph system was introduced first in 1851. It's a very important question. When the telegraph system introduced in India? 1851. In 1856, in 46 telegraph centers, the 46 telegraph centers were established by British government. The 46 telegraph centers were established by British government in 1856, just 1 year before the Great Revolt of 1857. Through these 46 telegraph centers, communication was made in various corners from Calcutta, like telegraph system made connection in between the cities Calcutta and Agra, and Calcutta to Bombay, Madras, Otakamundu, and other centers. From statistics, it has been known that more than 4,250 miles area came under the control of telegraph system. In 1865, this number was rapidly changed. In 1865, 17,500 miles area came under the connection of telegraph line, and finally it increased to 52,900 mile areas under telegraph line. Thus, rapid changes in telegraph line occurred, which helped British to communicate with the people of various provinces or with the distant places. And this telegraph system also helped British to receive administrative informations, military informations, or others. In time of Lord Dalhousie, this telegraph system greatly helped to defeat the Burmese in the Second Anglo-Burmese War held in 1852. In time of the Sipai Mutiny, it also helped the British for their victory. Thank you. We will discuss next.